A very warm welcome to you as you join us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. The year 2015 is gradually moving on. And of course, the major event that we all look forward to in the next few weeks is the 2015 elections in Nigeria. Yes, on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, it will be time for Nigerians to elect the president and, of course, members of the House of Reps and the Senate. Of course, 2 weeks after, on the 20th of February, we will have the opportunity to choose who our governors should be across the 36 states of the country and, of course, members of the state assemblies. Have you collected your permanent voter's card? That is your passport to freedom. We must all resolve to eschew violence and to make sure that we use the elections to prove to the world that indeed Nigeria is one. In the month of September 2014, the price of oil, crude petroleum, on the international market began to slide from a height of about $110 in the month of June of that 2014. It came down to 80, came to 70, came down to 50. Today, the price of a barrel of crude is hovering between $45 and $50. And there is no hope that the situation will improve very soon. In fact, Goldman Sachs, the international investment bank, has predicted that for the better half of this year, January to June, that the price of crude will hover around $40. Of course, today's price, $46, is the lowest since April 2009. As our contribution to the debate, or to the search, if you like, for a solution to the challenges thrown up by the fall in the price of petrol, talking about the dwindling revenue available to governments at various levels, we conducted interviews with oil and gas industry players and with tax administrators. And our aim was to find out from them what is the way out of this quagmire. How does Nigeria ensure that it keeps its head above water? What is the fate of Nigeria beyond oil? Those interviews were brought to you in an episode around the end of November 2014. They remain as relevant today as they were in November 2014. Enjoy them. Is Plateau State thinking about Nigeria beyond oil? The oil revenue is likely to dwindle further, if not totally disappear. Are you looking beyond oil?
Yeah, we are looking beyond oil. Really, when I came in as the executive chairman, what we did is to see how are we going to get money outside the federally allocated revenue. And the idea is for us to be able to do that by getting the informal sector to be able to contribute. By and large, 90% of what we get is from payee, which is from regular people who have regular income. So what we are doing now is to see how we will be able to get onto the informal sector to key in to be able to pay their tax. And we are doing that hopefully by trying to implement the presumptive tax regime. That is trying to get those who do not have the platform, those who don't have a source of income, we cannot determine their source of income to be able to do that. And so many other areas that currently we are not tapping into, because like I said, 90% of our revenue is from payee, from the formal sector. So it's for us to be able to key in on those informal sector to be able to augment the 90%.
At Federal Inland Revenue Service, we're looking at other areas, most especially the non-oil revenue. Though in the oil and gas sector, we have non-oil revenue there. We have companies' income tax from gas, and have withholding, that is advance tax, even from gas or from contracts awarded by these companies, and we have VAT from contracts. We have that non-oil revenue, but we are also looking outside oil and gas industry. The other industries like manufacturing, we are looking at the telecommunication, the banks, the insurance companies. We are looking at those industries too. The large taxpayers. We are looking at the medium. In fact, that's the essence of segregating the taxpayers. We have segregated taxpayers to large taxpayers, medium taxpayers, small and micro taxpayers, and also even government business. There's a dedicated department that administers government business. So to ensure that we get non-oil revenue. And we are equally looking at presumptive tax regime for those that are not in the tax net, the unorganized sector, those ones that you cannot pin down, that are not registered. So we are bringing up a tax regime called presumptive tax regime to be able to bring those, the hairdressers, the mechanics, the drivers, to be able to bring them into the tax net.
What is the Internal Revenue Service of Ogun State doing to ensure that you keep Ogun State above water when oil revenues dwindle or disappear?
I believe that, and I strongly feel that one factor that enables everybody, corporate bodies remitting the taxes of their taxpayers, of their employees, or even those self-employed, one factor that quickly enables them pay their taxes is when they see what their money, what their tax monies are going on, tax revenue. Yes, taxpayer money in action, like you rightly put it. Roads are being built, roads have been expanded, model schools are being established, build bridges, people in Ogun State are seeing bridges, all long term, so that potential investors, their security, their security has been beefed up, their APC.
What are you doing in Abia State to ensure that the state survives beyond oil?
Okay, I think one of the things that my administration is doing is to make sure that we go in the area of enforcement, making use of the rule of law. Previously, before I came in as a chairman of the board, we had only one lawyer prosecuting cases. But as we speak, we have about 11 lawyers. Because we are trying to remove the era of gangsterism in tax collection. We are now using the law in order to make people pay. Cases are in court. We have more than 200 cases now as we speak in court. We have revenue courts, and we are enforcing to make sure that people pay their taxes. That is number one. Number two is in the area of enlightenment, to let the people know that the tax you're paying is not for Udochukwu Ogbonna, it's not for the governor, Sati Aoji, but it is for Abia State. Because when you pay your taxes, there will be infrastructural development. But if you don't pay, there is no way you can stand and say the government is not doing anything.
You are aware that the present government is doing very well in agriculture. They're also doing well in telecommunication, even in solid mineral, all those alternative sources, and in transport, they're also doing very well. So with time, and they're also encouraging SMEs. With time, I think, and also with energy. In the energy sector, government is doing very well. If energy is there, it will have a multiplier effect on the economy, and all those small companies, SMA and micro companies, they will be on board and contribute to the economy meaningfully.
Correct, Baba! Correct, My name is Chinedu. I am MD CEO, God Divine Wealth International Ventures Nigeria Limited. I get shop everywhere for Abuja. People, they help me. They want to be correct Baba like me. But no be that one, they make me correct Baba. Now say I dey obey the law, and then I dey see better thing from government. That is why I go to collect my own Form A. Me self don't become correct Baba. No, you're my guy. go collect and fill your own Form A. Sharp, sharp.
If you dey live for Abuja, abi you dey work for Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs, abi you be first man, army o, navy o, air force o, or even our friend police, or even foreigner, this story na for you. Form A na the form where you go fill make you take pay your correct tax, and you must to collect and fill your own between January and March every year. Make your government for fit to provide good things for you to jolly like good road, correct water, ogbonge education, light wey no dey shake eye, good security and other mechatam them. Now oga supposed to go collect Form A from any office of Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) and share to people where they work with them. But if you refuse to collect your own Form A, law go gbab you. This story that from Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS).
The program is Tax Matters, and what we are doing on this episode is to examine the strategies being put in place to ensure that Nigeria survives the tumbling price of crude petroleum on the international market, that Nigeria is able to run as a going concern despite the free fall in the price of oil and the dwindling revenue available to governments at various levels.
The importance of oil to so many countries and as a source of revenue in our country is going down. What is the way forward?
The way forward is to look internally. Internally, that Nigeria has been blessed with a lot of resources. It's a blessed country. We have been blessed with mineral resources. We have been blessed with talent in terms of the citizens. Nigeria is one country where you find the citizens anywhere in the world, and they can stand high and mighty with the likes of Bill Gates. We are very intelligent, sentiments apart. So what the nation has to do is to look internally for the aspect of revenue. We look internally, we have land masses. We could go back to what we had in time past, agriculture. Start going more into agriculture, planting of food, rearing of animals. We all need food to survive, and I don't see the agricultural sector suffering at any point in time. So we should go back to the basics, encourage agriculture, and also we could also try our best to go into to perfect our power sector, because it will go a long way in helping our industrialization aspect of the country. There's nothing stopping us from going to the villages and building industries. We could have textile industries in the villages. At the end of the day, the youths or even the citizens within the village do not have to come to the cities looking for employment, because the employment will be there in the village. That will increase revenue. For the aspect of oil, there is oversupply in the market as it is today. That also, we still have to come back internally. Try and look for a way to use the production of crude oil that we have today, so that we won't have to export the crude oil, but we'll now become an exporter of products, and our products will now start competing with the international market. Because as of today, we have the likes of shale oil, Libya's production, competing with our home barrels. So now the market is oversupplied with crude. So in summary, let's look internally. We have the capacity and all the resources that is necessary for us to become the biggest giants of Africa, as we have been called.
Chineke me, they don't increase my salary money. No be mistake, Oga accountant do so. Papa Junior, you never hear of Peter. Now the new MD be that. Talk now.
Peter, na Personal Income Tax Amendment Act, where Mr. President just signed for law to better the life of him people, so them to go get more money to enjoy with them family. You see this amended act, they don't reduce the tax we do on top your salary money. They can't increase consolidated allowance money where we go to get every month. And you know, say, now the president will listen if you do better thing for the people.
Ah, Mr. President, you do well, oh. I'm blessing you, they think of me when you they sign this bitter. Now I feel do boku things this year. I feel rent shop for Mama Junior, buy textbook for Junior, send money go village, make the thing begin build my house.
So you say me landlord?
Of course. Oh, you this is our country for you. Peter, oh, Peter, hey, Peter.
JTB, creating a tax-friendly environment.
For the states, the core the core is the personal income tax. Then you have withholding tax from individuals and enterprises. Okay? So, yes, it can sustain. Tax can sustain. The informal sector. In Rivers State, for example, any minute from now, we're going to activate our, what we call informal sector push, right? It is aimed at reaching out to the informal sector, the organizers, everybody, because every money counts. Everybody in the state is important to the state. It is not about how much, but if everybody is contributing, and you now know that you are part of the system. So that is what we were working towards, achieving, of getting more and more and more, if not everyone, but at least almost everybody in the net. In the net means being a partaker. You know, when you say net, it's not like you're catching the person, but you want the person to be a part of what is happening in the state.
When oil revenue begins to dwindle further or dries up, God forbid, what strategies have you put in place that will ensure that Ondo State will survive?
In Ondo State, what we are doing now is we are encouraging people, informal market, to be formalized. We are encouraging them to form cooperative because it becomes easier for us to deal with them when they have, when they are formalized. And we've been back on so many policies like tax enlightenment and education, policy where we go out. We want to talk to them. We want to get them, get their buy-in into what we are doing. We want them to know why they have to pay tax, when they have to pay, what they have to pay, and how they have to pay, because all these things have been problems. Okay, so once you are able to get them, then you put the right policy in place, and thank God for, the kind of governors we have now. They have a lot of things to show for the taxpayers' money. In my state, I can tell you, the governor has a lot of projects to show for the taxpayers' money. So we are leveraging on that one to get to the informal sector of the economy, which is, of course, different from the oil. And with that, even if the oil goes today, after all, there was no oil in those days in the southwest. In the southwest, when cocoa money was being used to develop everywhere, the housing estate in Ibadan, the farm plantation in Ibadan, Ogbomoso, all areas. They were using cocoa money to, prosecute free education.
I would suggest that government should embark on aggressive agricultural development. We have some countries in Africa that depends on agriculture for their revenue export earnings. And there should be diversification of our revenue base, like development of solid mineral. There should be a review of our tax law to bring more individual and company into the tax net. Government should expand the issue of power generation and distribution. This will enable the manufacturing industry to expand their capacity, production, thereby they'll be able to be in a position to perform well and pay higher taxes. Government should encourage the small and medium scale enterprises development by giving loans at reduced rates to encourage small scale entrepreneurs. There should be deregulation of oil industry operations so that it will attract inflow of foreign investments, in the sense that if there is deregulation, the amount being expended on payment or subsidy will be reduced, will be freed to be used on other infrastructure development. The government should privatize refinery so that the issue of a turnaround maintenance funding will not occur again. It becomes the problem of the various companies.
What are you doing, or what have you been able to do since you came into office to shore up your revenue base?
The dependence of oil is no longer tenable. Nobody could continue to depend on what is going to exhaust one day. In my state, the executive governor of my state has given me full powers to seek for ways to improve internal revenue. And we've been doing our best to do that. We've been looking inwards. We have been going into the informal sector, which is the only sector that is left untapped in the state. And people don't even understand that a lot of revenue is in the informal sector these days, because most of the people you find in the informal sector are not organized. They're not registered, but yet they have lots of income. And it means if we concentrate on them, we'll be able to jack up our internally generated revenue in every state of the federation. In Zamfara, that's one key area we have hedged our efforts on to ensure revenue is jacked up. And you will not believe it, we've been able to improve tremendously from the informal sector alone. And like I said, if you look at the various countries of the world, nobody really is dependent on the natural resources per se, but rather on the payment of taxes by each citizen. It goes beyond, realizing revenue. It shows there is a contract between the government and the citizens. So if people continue to pay their taxes, then the contract theory, which we all know about, has been served. Government provide this, and you pay your taxes. So that nobody will now see government properties as, useless properties that could be underutilized, that could be vandalized, that could be done, all the negative things you can think of.
What do you think the country can do to remove dependence on revenue generation from oil and gas? Because if something happens, the country is in trouble.
There are a lot that we can do, and I think that government is also trying to diversify the economy. The best option is for us to diversify the economy. Agriculture used to be the mainstay of this country prior to oil. There's need for us to go back. Apart from agriculture, our manufacturing sector are now being abandoned. So what we are getting from crude oil as at now, we can use them also to activate these sectors so that Nigeria will come back to a proper footing in terms of the economy, because we need to stimulate the economy, and I'm sure government is not resting on its oars to diversify the economy.
I think the right steps are being taken, both by the government and the agency in particular. For example, you can notice that the unbundling of the power sector will usher in safer investment in that sector. Once you have the power to energize economy and economic activities, definitely the manufacturing sector will take up and will expand, because every economy runs on power and energy. So with the initiative in the power sector and the effort being made in the petroleum industry bill, I believe that the dependence on oil will be a temporary situation.
And from the Grand Commander of the tax collectors, the Chief Tax Collector himself.
We have been proactive. All along, we have been saying, let's try to improve on non-oil. Let's not rely on oil, because oil is so volatile that today the price is $110. Tomorrow you see it $40, $50. So you have to be proactive, you have to plan. We are propagating how to pay your taxes, how to make it so simple for the taxpayer to appreciate and pay. That's why our slogan has been, treat taxpayer as a king. But as I have said, for us to treat you as a king, you have to behave like a king. If you don't do the right thing, we have powers to do some things like enforcement. If you notice, we have been more aggressive now because we realized there are so many taxpayers have not been filing. Or they have filed, they have not paid. So we try to enforce. If you recall, when we had our meeting in Ibadan, we said we are going to start aggressive enforcement. And I'm happy it is paying. It is paying because still our monthly collection has been improving. So I say, yes, there's a challenge, but we're equal to the task.
Yes, indeed, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is equal to the task, just as we also believe that the various state boards of internal revenue are equal to the tasks. So what do we need to do? We need to improve electricity generation. We need to power industries to move this country forward. We need to go back to base, to return to agriculture, return to the land, bring back those granite pyramids of yore, bring back the cocoa plantations, the oil plantations. We need to encourage small and medium scale enterprises, family businesses, as they have them in other countries. And of course, we need to ensure that all those who earn income pay due taxes. Because when you pay taxes, you become a partaker, you become a joint owner in Project Nigeria. That is the way forward. We want to hear your views about the way to move Nigeria forward beyond oil. Send us email, like us on Facebook, on Twitter. We will air your views. And also, join us next week on this same session, same day of the week, same time of the day for a fresh episode of Tax Matters. Thank you for watching and have a blessed week ahead as we prepare for the 2015 elections.